Wonderful, beta. We discussed a number of times that in the competition law, three main concepts are dealt with. The first is anti-competitive agreement, the second is abuse of dominance, and the regulation of combination. We have completed the concept of the anti-competitive agreements, and today we are starting the next important concept, that is the abuse of dominance. Now, any idea about this concept? What could be the abuse of dominance? Yes, students, any idea about this concept, that what could be this abuse of dominance? No one has idea.
Ma'am, any dominant player in the market is not letting another players enter into the market.
Wonderful, Preeti. Now, what is this abuse of dominant position? Abuse of dominant position means an enterprise is in the dominating position in the market, and because of that, there is an enterprise A that is in the dominating position, and that is enterprise is taking the advantage of dominating position and affecting that is the competition within the market. And if it is done by a company or an enterprises which is in the dominating position, that is called the abuse of dominant position. Now the next question that might be arising in your mind, that where this concept of abuse of dominant position is defined. Now the concept of abuse of dominance is given under section 4 of the Competition Act. Now the subsection 1 of the section 4 of the Competition Act says that no enterprise or group shall abuse its dominant position. Now section 4.1 is prohibiting the abuse of the dominant position. Now before deciding whether that the enterprise is making the abuse of the dominant position or not, two other things are to be decided in case of the abuse of dominance position. Now the first thing is, what is the relevant market? And the second question is to be decided, that whether an enterprise is in the dominant position in that relevant market. And third point, now it is proved that yes, there is an enterprise which is in the dominating position. Now the next question would be decided that whether that enterprise is making abuse of that dominant position in that market. Now again I am repeating that before deciding that whether an enterprise is making abuse of the dominant position or not, before discussing or before looking into this matter, that whether there is an abuse of dominant position or not, two other things are to be decided. The first thing is that what is the relevant market? What is the relevant market here means where this enterprise has the dominance position. So first we decide the market, and when we know that what is the market, then we decide whether the enterprise is in the dominating position and in that market. And when it is decided that yes, that the enterprise is in the dominant position in that market, then the question arises whether there is the abuse of the dominant position. Now what is the abuse of dominant position? Like we discussed in the case of the anti-competitive agreements, certain circumstances are given if the activity or the act of an enterprise or the persons falls under any of that activity, then we say that either the horizontal anti-competitive agreements are entered into or the vertical anti-competitive agreements are that is entered into. Similarly, There are the few circumstances which is given under section 4. And if the activity of an enterprise who is in the dominating position falls under any of that circumstances, it means that enterprise is making the abuse of the dominant position. I hope now you have understood that what is the abuse of the dominant position. Again, I am getting back to section 4.1. Now the section 4.1 says that no enterprise or the group shall abuse its dominant position. Now next question I may ask that which entity cannot make the abuse of the dominant position? Now according to section 4, the two entities cannot make the abuse of the dominant position, and this is the enterprise, and the another entity is the group. Now what is the enterprise? You have an idea that what is the enterprise, because we discussed this term when we discussed what are the anti-competitive agreements, because an enterprise, an association of enterprise person, or the association of person and enterprise and the person, these cannot enter into the anti-competitive agreements. Now enterprise, besides enterprise, there is another one more entity which is given under section 4, one which cannot enter into that, which cannot make the abuse of the dominant position, and that entity is the group. Now this group is a new term. Now let us see what is meant by this term. Now what is the group? That is explained under section explanation to section 5. Now let us see how this group is explained under section 5. Yes, who would help me to read this explanation to section 5? Yes, who will help me to read the explanation B to section 5?
I'll read it, ma'am.
Yes, beta. Please raise your hands. Who wants?
Groups.
Yes, beta. Yes, beta, Ria. Please, beta. Read this explanation.
Group means two or more enterprises which directly or indirectly are in a position to 1. Exercise 26% or more of the voting rights in the other enterprise, or appoint more than 50% of the members of the board of directors in the other enterprise, or control the management or affairs of the other enterprise.
Thank you very much, Ria beta. Now, what is given under section B, that is explanation B to section 5, it says that what is group? And group means two or more enterprises. And if these two or more enterprises are in the position of doing any of the three things which is given, though in that case that two or more enterprise would be termed as the group. Now let us see. Now suppose there are two enterprises A and B, and there is one more enterprise C. Now if this enterprise A and B are in the position of what? Are in the position of exercising more than 26% voting right in enterprise C, then this enterprise A and B would be termed as the group. Now what is also written here, directly or indirectly. Now what is meant by this directly or indirectly? Now these enterprises A and B, if they themselves can exercise this 26% voting right in enterprise C, that is even then this A and B would be called as a group. And suppose there is subsidiaries of either A and B, and now these subsidiaries are in the position of exercising this 26% voting right in the enterprise C. In that case also this enterprise A and B collectively would be termed as a group. Now the next circumstances, if this enterprise A and B can appoint more than 50% of the board of that is member of the board of director in enterprise C, it means enterprise A and B would be termed as that is the group. And if this enterprise A and B is controlling the affairs of the enterprise C, in that case also this enterprise A and B collectively would be termed as that is the group. Now this group, that is the enterprise A and enterprise B, collectively even cannot make the abuse of the dominant position. That's why the entity given under the section 4.1 is the enterprise. It means only A and only B cannot make the abuse of the dominant position, or A and B collectively would be called as a group, and this group cannot make the abuse of the dominant position. I hope you have understood what is meant by the group. Any question or doubt? Okay, students, if no question and doubt, then I'm moving to the next part. Now it says, now you know what is an enterprise. You also know what is the group. Now the next is that this enterprise or a group is not supposed to make the abuse of the dominant position. Now abuse its dominant position. Now there are two different terms which requires explanation. One, first, that what is the abuse of the dominant position. Now before moving to this concept, that what is the abuse of the dominant position, what is important to know what is the dominant position. Now what is the dominant position, that is also explained under section 4 as explanation A to the section 4. Now let us see how this term is explained under section that is explained under explanation A to section 4. Now who would help me to read this? Yes, who would help me to read this? I'm waiting. Yes, beta Akash. Oh, Shifali. Yes, beta, please.
Dominant position means a position of strength enjoyed by an enterprise in the relevant market in India, which enables it to first operate independently of competitive forces prevailing in the relevant market, or affect its competitors or consumers or the relevant market in its favor.
Thank you very much, Shifali beta. Now this explanation A to section 4 says dominant position means an enterprise enjoying the position of a strength, and where this enterprise is enjoying the position of a strength in the relevant market. Means there is a market, and that market under the Competition Act is termed as the relevant market. Now what is the relevant market? That is very important, because this is the first step which leads to the, that is abuse of the, for determining the abuse of the dominance. Now what is the relevant market? That we will discuss in the next class. Only remember that there is a market and this enterprise, if the enterprise enjoys the position of strength in that market, now because of this enterprise A having the position of strength, now again in explanation A, two sub-circumstances are given. If any of these two circumstances are satisfied, it means that enterprise A is enjoying the dominant position in a market. Now let us see what are those. Now there is an enterprise, and this enterprise is in the position of strength, and because of this position of strength, the other competing forces are not going to affect this, that is the enterprise A. It means whatever is done by the competitors of this enterprises A, that will not affect that is the enterprise A. It means that enterprise is in the dominant position. Now the next circumstances say, but if this enterprise A does something, and whatever is done by the enterprise A, that is affecting either the competitor and the consumers, it means that this enterprise A is in the dominating position. So it means in that is a nutshell we can say that if an enterprise A, okay, is enjoying some kind of strength, and because of that it can affect its competitors and its consumers, but the competitors cannot, that is, affect this enterprise A. In that case, if either of these two conditions are satisfied, it means that that enterprise A is in the dominating position. Besides this, there is a section 9(4). It means subsection 4 of section 19, in which certain factors are given, and these factors are to be taken into consideration by the CCI while determining whether an enterprise is enjoying the dominating position or not. Now let us see which are those circumstances. The first one is that what is the market share of a enterprise. Suppose it means that suppose there is enterprise A, and if that enterprise is having the 80% share, that enterprise is that is manufacturing what t-shirts, and 80% of the market is, that is, it has the 80% share in the market. This is called the market share of the enterprises. Now what is the size of the enterprise? What are the other resources of this enterprise in question here? What is the size of the competitors, and what is the importance of the other competitor of the enterprises, and whether the enterprise is enjoying the economic power. Now here economic power means the ability of an enterprise to improve itself, and economic power of the enterprise included means one more thing is included under this concept, and that is the commercial advantages over the competitors. Commercial advantages over the competitor means that the enterprise can sell the same quality, that is goods, which its competitors are manufacturing at a lower price than their competitors. So if this can happen, that is called the commercial advantage over the competitor. And whether there is a vertical merger of the enterprises, or whether the consumer are dependent on the enterprises, and if the enterprise is holding a monopoly or dominating position, what is the reason of holding this dominating position? It is either because of the statute, or because that enterprise is a government company, or that enterprise is a public sector undertaking. What are the entry barriers to this market in which the enterprise having the supposed to having the, that is the dominating position? What is the countervailing buying power? Now here the countervailing buying power means how much the consumers can how much force or how much the consumer can compel the seller to that is sell the goods at a lower price. For example, that the automobile industries, that is in the we can say is some kind of is in the dominating position, means that these can force the steel industries, means it's that is the steel sellers to get the huge discounts, means they can buy, they force the steel that is supplier to sell their steel at a very after giving a huge discount. And if such kind of force or such kind of compulsion can be made by the consumer on the seller, now then this is called the countervailing buying power. And the next is, what is the market structure? What is the size of the market? Is there any social obligation on the enterprises? and whether this enterprise is enjoying the relevant advantage. Now the relevant advantage means suppose that an enterprise is manufacturing a superior quality product that is not manufactured by the other competitors, so that is called the relative advantage of the, that is the enterprises. And this is not the exhaustive list of the circumstances. The residuary rule is also given under the last part of the subsection 4 of the section 19, which says besides this, if the commission consider that the other factors for determining whether an enterprise is enjoying the dominating position or not. Again, I'm getting back to the, that is the 4.1, and now we know what is the enterprise group and what is the dominating position. Now what we have not discussed today, that what is the abuse of the dominant position and what is the relevant market. Now what is the relevant market and what is the abuse of the dominant position, that I'll take up in the next class. Now students, any, that is the case or the any example you can give regarding this abuse of the dominating position, in which a company is not found in the dominating position. Now listen carefully, you all might have heard that is the Reliance, that Reliance were giving this freebie, the connection was being given and the services were also being provided free for a specific period. So that's why this Vodafone, Airtel, they all have filed a complaint in the CCI against the Reliance Forward for that this is making the abuse of the dominant position. And today we discussed that before deciding that whether an enterprise is in the dominating position or not, what is this decided, that what is the market, in first what is the market, and the second question whether in that market the enterprise is holding a dominating position. Now in this case, first thing is to decide the relevant market. Now the market here is, that is the mobile services with internet. And next, whether in this field Reliance is having the dominance. Now upon investigation it is found that there is only 7%, this Reliance is having the only 7% share, that is in the position of strength because financially it was very strong. And but the market share of the Reliance in this field was only 6 to 7%. So that's why it is held by the CCI that no, this is not in the dominating position. Because if the party or an enterprise or company is not in the dominating position, then there can be no questions regarding the abuse of the, that is the dominant position. Now another example, that retailers also files a, that is a complaint against this e-commerce company that they are giving goods at a huge discounts. Number of times the complaint was made, and but on investigation what is found, that yes, these discounts are beneficial, means these discounts are in the interest of the consumers. So that's why a number of time this petition was, that is this complaint was dismissed by the, that is the CCI. But even this matter is being looked into by the Ministry of the Corporate Affairs, and this is all